Oh.
The movie Men.
Oh, wow.
This came out probably a month or two ago, and we're very behind.
No, it was last year.
We kept wanting to see it.
See whatever it came out to.
And it's weird, and it was made by, and you'll see why it's weird. Who was the guy that made this?
Something
Alex Garland.
Yes.
He's a writer and director, and let's see, what is he known for?
He did Ex Machina and
Annihilation, that weird
with,
space
Natalie Portman.
movie with Natalie Portman.
We love that movie.
28 Days Later.
He wrote 28 Days Later.
He wrote it. Just so you can tell just from that, his vision and the way he crafts movies is a little bit different. Like even that Annihilation movie, I think I might have know what happened. I don't really know. Anyway, so this movie is called Men. The story, it is a young lady named Jessie who has decided to rent a little college on the coast of England somewhere.
How did that far back?
Just to kind of get away, and we start to find out she's gone through something with her husband. And so she's just trying to get away, and literally craziness ensues.
So the movie is kind of deemed a folklore, kind of dark fairy
tale horror,
but it's dealing with abuse and sexism,
death,
kind of the Me Too movement stuff,
divorce,
a lot of elements and stuff that maybe I don't want to say it's in your face about women stuff, but it's kind of that, but it's not that.
Yeah.
If that's hard to explain. It's a hard movie to explain.
Yeah.
It's a hard movie to understand. And it's a hard movie to tell you there's actually a story.
Okay. Seeking refuge and solace after a horrifying loss, traumatized Harper flees London and holds up in a secluded manor. So it's like you said, there's this whole issue that's happened with her husband. It's kind of an abusive relationship. And so
she has this insane grief she's dealing with.
Some trauma and loss that she's dealing with, and she's here. But she's alone in the English countryside. But by the way, this is a horror movie. This is like the werewolf movie in London. Every bad movie is alone in a cottage.
Because it's
come on.
Every scene of this movie, even the horrific, bloody stuff, is beautiful.
It is actually,
and it's like, how crazy is it that something is so beautiful is also so horrific?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the bloody stuff. I'm talking about there's like this one scene of her. She's in this forest, and there's this like kind of a hill that's just grass. It's all beautifully lush greens, and it's the kind of thing that you think as a person you'd be standing there just like in awe of nature and creation and everything. But then like you add one new element to that, and it becomes this horrific moment.
Yeah.
Which is what happens in this movie, is like something this big far away from the scene changes everything you're seeing. What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Oh, he wanted to be on the show. And at one point she finds this cool tunnel, and she's like, ha, 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 ha. And it's like, ha, 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 ha. And suddenly you hear, ah! And she's like, what the heck? And takes off running, which we would all do, and it is. And I don't know if you caught at the beginning, she gets to the cottage and there's this apple tree. And she takes the apple, and we're both like, you don't eat people's apples.
Yeah, but that was my first thing. I was upset. I'm like, you don't just eat people's produce off their trees.
But did you get kind of like an Adam and Eve
vibe?
Very much. Because she's the only woman.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, and she's the only woman, and you find out it's a town full of just men. And the creepy thing is, creepy and beautiful at the same time, is the man that's in this movie is all the men in the town.
Everybody.
It is amazing. The makeup they did.
The only one that's a little off is there's a kid.
That little boy.
You can tell it's a CGI face.
Yeah, it's this kid.
But it still works. Wasn't it Rory Kinnear or something like that?
Rory, yeah. That is one of those names. Don't name your kid Rory, because I can't say it.
I had a boss one time named Rory.
I've always had a problem with that. Anyways,
I really love this movie, but
it's weird.
But I love it for the strange, uncomfortable nature of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. So it does and it doesn't. But I can see somebody watching this movie and saying this is utter trash. It makes no sense. I hated it. I got nothing from it. And I know somebody felt that way.
Yeah.
But I can also see...
I always try to find something good.
Yeah, I can also see my thing, and I think this is the kind of movie, and I love these movies, where it wants you to make your own understanding of what they're trying to say. And if it makes you kind of uncomfortable and then it makes you question, or it says, I think this, because there's a lot of elements in this movie that I felt were like a metaphor for something else in her life, or metaphor in life about what's happening, that I saw it, but I can also see how somebody else would be like that. I don't see that at all.
I feel like in my mind, what happened at the house really happened because there's evidences, maybe not what she saw. I think in her head there's so much going on, and I think we get to the end of the movie and you find out that, you know, because of the issues and the abuse of her husband, she finally stands up for herself. No idea what really happened, or she hurt somebody or multiple people, or whatever. That's to be determined. But I think at the core of that, she finally understood in a weird, bizarre way that sometimes the abuse, like her husband, she's like, "What do you want from me?" And he's like, "I just want you to love me." But his way of loving was abusing her.
Yeah, trying to bring the guilt, make her guilt and loving him.
And it was crazy, but I think she finally reached the point where she could let it go.
I have a theory on something that I didn't bring up to you, but I can't say it here because it would spoil it.
I don't know. Yeah.
So I want to ask you after we get off the show, so remind me.
It's such a bizarre but beautiful and kind of creepy and weird and empowering. I will say the final sequence of the movie is gross. I thought it was
amazingly awesome and gross. I know it puts you off because you don't like this kind of thing, but it was almost like it's leveling down the tiers of what you've gone through.
The issue.
And it's like, so it felt like it was the metaphor of taking the layers that she's dealing with, whether it's a childhood.
That's why I'm telling you at the end, I feel like she was dealing with it. Yeah, she got back.
There's a layer of like your childhood, your church, your just male toxicity, you know, your relationship. There's all these things that are layers
to the core,
but it's done in a thing that's metaphorical for a woman.
It's gooey
and it is gross, but I thought it was so well done and awesome because it's never explained, and that makes,
and I think that's what's good about movies.
That makes it so much better in a creepy, bizarre way when they don't tell me what I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
I like figuring it out for myself, and I could be wrong. And
that's okay.
It was
that's
like
your interpretation.
My buddy Mel that I interviewed some time back for that Mystery Spot movie. You know, we finished watching it. Neither one of us, we weren't huge fans of the movie, but we had different theories.
But then at the end, it really got me.
And he told me that, yeah, he purposely left it for the audience to make their decision. And he goes, he knows what the story is.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, and he's had other people that told him, he goes, oh, that's way better.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what his story was, you know. And I love those kind of movies. I know there's a lot of people, they need a finale.
Yeah, you need
this movie ends. There's a finale to what has happened.
But now there's more to be explained. There really is.
Yeah, they could do a second movie that'd be all about what is your problem?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what did you go through? And it'd be about her explaining it. But it ends with a moment of happiness that is like basically telling you, look, I let it go. This isn't my problem anymore. I'm moving on. And so I think that's what it was. And I have a theory of the evidence. No, I have a theory of the evidence, you know, and the friend could be a thing too.
I have a theory of the friend because you saw the friend when she showed up.
Yeah. But I have a theory of the evidence, but I think.
Okay, we'll talk about
evidence, but I have to remember if I'm remembering a scene that's there and I'm not blending it with something else. Because if it's not there, it makes no sense. So
it's an interesting movie, and it's online.
I don't think it might be on.
Because we watched it online, didn't we?
No.
Oh,
I had us for your consideration screening. It came out, and I think it was on. You might be able to get on video on demand and stuff now. I think back in July. It hasn't hit Blu-ray and DVD, I don't believe.
Yeah, this is a month
but I
ago.
believe
We're way behind.
It did hit on demand back in July, so you probably can find it. So I will warn you, it is a movie you'll either like or you won't. It's a movie that you'll either connect and come up with your theories, or you'll probably utterly hate it.
Yeah.
It's not a gray area movie.
It does deal with abuse. There is a scene of suicide. There's some death, blood.
Yeah, if you don't like gooiness, it's not through the whole movie.
Gooey. There's some gooey stuff.
But it gets a little graphic.
But
it's not
bloody.
Just so I tell you, I want to tell you what it is because that's part of the shock. It's not graphic like people being murdered.
No.
It's not that
kind
of graphic.
There's blood. If blood
there's blood,
you.
There's goo, and there's.
But I loved that one thing with the and the.
Oh yeah.
That was
there is one scene that.
It's great makeup effects.
There is one scene that's a little meaty,
and I like though because it carries on then through the rest of the movie.
That's what I was saying is they really said, look, we
got this.
We spent money on this. We're going to use this for the rest of the movie.
I loved it. So.
Anyway,
All right.
This is a movie that I don't know if I'd put on my favorite, but it's probably one of those to be like, man, I love this
It's
movie.
impactful.
It's so weird.
Yeah,
and
it's
strange,
weird.
But I also like these weird kind of movies.
All right.